The NCAA tournament is back, so it's time to wake up, college basketball! Welcome to Wake Up College Basketball, presented by 4 Points Hotels, travel reinvented, and book now at 4points.com. I did it all right.
You did a great job.
I did a great job.
I'm so proud of you.
Let's get into it right now.
Let's.
There has been a lot of talk about, is this tournament as exciting as years past because of some of the snubs we've seen. High mid-majors not making it in, Monmouth, San Diego State.
St. Mary's, St. Bonaventure, South Carolina, little mid-major you may not have heard of.
There's certainly less anger without Frank Martin.
That's true.
Yes.
That's true.
So is this year going to be as dramatic, at least in the first 4 days to you?
I mean, part of me just wants to say it's March Madness. It's the NCAA tournament. The things we expect to happen don't necessarily, so there's still a good chance of it. But yeah, I think the fact that you saw so many teams outside of the major conferences that were number one heading into their conference tournament and did not win, that does create sort of a weird dynamic where we have some super underdogs going into a lot of these games. That said, it is interesting that we will potentially maybe not have that Thursday, Friday sort of chaos, but we may be building towards a Sweet 16, a round of 32 that we talk about is like, this is some of the best college basketball we've ever seen because we sort of backloaded it in a way. I don't know if that's good or bad or better for drama or ratings or what have you, but that's sort of the optimist view of the NCAA tournament.
No, I think it's a TV event, and I think the better things are early on, and the more we get to know smaller, mid-level, high mid-level schools, the better. And we still remember Dunk City, Florida Gulf Coast. We still remember how good, and Wichita State is sort of an in-between at this point, but we still remember how high Wichita State in that game against Kentucky a couple years ago was. So you do hope for like new brand type schools to pop up early on. Ultimately, I think we want the highest level Sweet 16, Elite 8, Final Four, etc.
It's weird because all year we talked about how nobody could stay at number one. Teams kept losing and losing. And then you look at the Vegas lines for who the favorites are to win the whole tournament. You've got Kansas, Michigan State, UNC, and Kentucky. Those are the four highest, best odds to win the whole thing. So it's like, okay, cool. So we had the craziest season of all time, and the answer is the traditional basketball powerhouses
still
are favored.
Yeah.
No respect for Oregon. No respect for
How dare you, odds makers, for
Oregon.
Generally being right, for generally getting it right. You want to focus on, just speaking of these powers, what is realistic?
So I want to share with our audience a new book that I just read. Chris Kirkpatrick, formerly of NSYNC. It's called "Aim for the Power Lines." Dan, this is one of the most.
What the hell does that mean?
This is one of the most inspirational books I've ever read because it's all about setting realistic goals. In this book, Chris talks about how when you're a member of a boy band, could be NSYNC, could be Backstreet Boys, whatever. There's really only 1 or 2 people who are jockeying for that like most talented member of the group status.
You're Joey Fatone.
No.
You're Joey Fatone.
No, that's exactly what I'm not talking about.
Who's arguably number 2, by the way.
That's also not true.
You think Shazay is number 2?
We're not doing this here right now. But the point is that Chris talks in his book about how he had to learn to set realistic goals. He was never going to be Justin Timberlake.
Fair.
He was always just going to be like that one member of NSYNC that nobody could remember.
So how does this relate to college basketball?
So what this is about is that everybody goes into the NCAA tournament and they immediately shoot for the stars. And those stars are win the whole thing, take home a championship. What Chris and I are trying to tell you is, right now, just aim for the power lines. Try to get a little air, but don't go crazy. So what does that mean? We're going to talk about some achievable goals for teams at the start of the tournament.
What do you got?
If you're a 1 seed, here's your goal. Don't lose to a 16 seed.
That's
it.
Go Ducks.
That's
Please
it.
do
It's
not.
never happened. Several teams have gotten perilously close to losing to a 16. It's something we want to happen. But just don't be on that side of history. 1 seeds lose later in the tournament all the time. They disappoint. They flame out well before people expect them to. Just don't lose that 16 game.
Don't be Jan van de Velde. Don't be the one, because we still know his name. If you are a bubble team, if you're maybe a Syracuse, a Tulsa, one of those teams that we looked at getting to the tournament UCLA
and said,
from last year,
a tournament team that everybody's like, why are they in here? Your goal is so simple because you're already sort of playing with house money. Just win 1 game.
That makes sense.
Game. And that way you can say, well, look, we proved that we belonged. We proved that we belonged in the tournament. We didn't necessarily, run through the tournament in impressive fashion, but we proved we belonged. And lastly, for everybody else, here's your achievable goal. Just don't lose in a stupid way. Like, it's okay to get upset. It happens. It's frustrating.
Yes.
But don't lose on a game-tying 3 because you didn't foul when you could have.
Or don't foul when you should not. Like, clearly should not have.
Don't foul somebody shooting a 3-pointer and inadvertently give them a chance to get 4 points.
Up 4.
Yeah.
Foul somebody shooting a 3 and then make it. Yeah.
Don't have stupid turnovers. Don't miss a bunch of free throws down the stretch.
Right.
If you're going to lose, just make sure it's not in a way that the internet is going to eviscerate.
It's like going to a literal big dance. You're like, just don't screw up the slow dance.
Yep.
Just like,
don't
be
fall,
cool.
Don't split your pants.
Have your breath smell all right. Okay, fair enough.
So me and Chris want to remind you, everybody in the tournament, there's time to shoot for the stars later. For now, aim for the power lines.
And with that, Ryan, we should mention that our own Seth Rosenthal is posted up at a 4-point Sheraton for the entire duration of the tournament. Let's check in with him now.
All right, come on in. Looks pretty nice. This is going to be my home, this hotel room, for the next 3 weeks. For the duration of March Madness, I'm going to live and breathe basketball. This is going to be my basketball sanctuary. I'm going to eat basketball. I'm going to dream about basketball. When I go to the bathroom, I might poop a basketball. The idea is basically if I surround myself with enough basketball and just live and breathe basketball for these 3 weeks, I'm going to be the one. I'm going to come up with a perfect bracket. I got pictures of my favorite players. I got paraphernalia from all my favorite teams. I got enough snacks to keep me alive. I got brackets. I got pens to fill out the brackets. I have backup brackets. I have backup pens. This is going to be the best 3 weeks of my entire life. I love you. You're my special boy.
All right, thanks, Seth. And I'm very curious to see where this goes.
He looks cozy. I'm happy for him.
It looks very comfortable.
Yeah.
He's not going to go hungry.
He's going to be fine.
He's going to be great.
It's going to go great.
All right, let's finish now with, it is a surprisingly good tournament for good old-fashioned hate.
Yeah, we can have
probably not accidental.
Old beefs, reoccurring beefs. There's a lot of potential. Let's go through. We're going to show you a graphic of some of our all the potential beef in the tournament, but I want to talk about my favorite potential matchup. West Virginia Pitt in the 3rd round.
Yeah.
I love Backyard Brawl is one of college football's most just
college athletics overall,
bloodiest, meanest rivalries possible.
Yeah, it's underrated and people don't think about it. It's great.
And to add a little flavor to this possible matchup in the 3rd round, this game, if it happens, will take place in Philadelphia, which means Philadelphia will be overrun with Pitt and West Virginia fans. Already a city that maybe doesn't have a reputation for loving outsiders.
I think Pittsburgh and Philadelphia, they're one and the same.
Yeah.
They're one and the same sensibility.
It's really hard to tell them apart, other than one of them has Super Bowl titles. But that's the one I really like. And I hope Dave Wanstead shows up to that and sings the national anthem.
I'm gonna go with Texas A&M. Just there's so many. Michigan, Notre Dame could play in Brooklyn, but Texas A&M in Oklahoma. They just, football-wise, and this is not about football necessarily, but they just, since switching conferences, Texas A&M, people have looked down on Texas looked back at Texas A&M, and it's just like this weird...
They've deleted each other from their cell phones, they blocked each other on Facebook.
Yeah. There's this weird pissy standoff that will all coalesce in Oklahoma, and I'd love it.
And then potentially the winner of that might play Oklahoma. Also, I mean, whoever decided to put Aggies, Longhorns, and Sooners all in Oklahoma City.
Same town, yeah.
God bless you. You are keeping security guards well fed.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Thank you.
Fantastic stuff.
Thank you so much for that. All right. That is the episode. Thank you very much for watching. Wake Up College Basketball is brought to you by 4 Points Hotels. Travel reinvented. And if you do want to book, and you should, 4points.com. We'll see you soon.